Hey, welcome back, Veteran Nation fans. A very happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. And I definitely want to say hello and welcome to my co host, who is one bad mother, TC.
Immediately downhill. Just immediately, immediately downhill. Just like no, not even wasting any time. Like I'm trying to adjust the cam here so I have my Veteran Nation shirt in screen,
I
but
love it.
it's not cooperating. So it fits better than it did when you sent it a couple years ago.
We got to get you another one.
We need to
Probably
get
one of
like
our.
we need to get like classic fit style because I now have the body for it.
Okay.
And when I mean I
Um,
have the body for it, I keep it in the freezer behind me. So
yeah, they have a lot of different shirts to pick from, so we should figure out which one we like the most.
I I got up and did my workout this morning, and then I've been doing chores and stuff around the house and the yard, and I uh, I I forgot what it was like to work a Monday through Friday job after almost 13 years of having 3-day weekends and and trying to squeeze everything into 2 days and still like have downtime. Y'all are crazy. How do you do it? I this is like and make content
Right?
and and write for my Substack. I'm just like, well, yeah. Hey, speaking of which, folks, if you haven't yet, you should stop by and check out TC Substack. Uh, it's not my normal. It's not my normal TC. I don't know what that means, but I write on Substack and I write essays over there, and I'm working on two different memoirs. One about my life in the law enforcement world in as a deputy in a detention center, and how my views on back the blue at all costs changed, and Skipper knows why, but how eye opening it was for me. And I think Skipper and I've talked about this throughout the course of our time together co-hosting Vet Nation Live. Even Skipper's had some of his views on not just government accountability, but in particular law enforcement accountability have really been uh, focused differently, which I think is um, the sign of someone with actual wisdom. Got Skipper. No, I said it. I said it. It's I mean it. Not just because it's Mother's Day, but um, shout out to Skipper's mom for doing something right. Um, but there's a sign of there's a an indicator of intellect. Wise sage, yes. There's an indicator of intellect and wisdom in an individual who has spent a large portion of their life in a very particular, for lack of better terminology, very rigid binary thought process about a particular perspective or viewpoint, who's willing to step back from that, look at it and say, maybe there's some room for change. And I see that in you, Skipper. I have another friend, um, goes by K2. I have another friend, um, goes by K2. I call him K2 because he's one of two friends named Kevin. But and then I actually have another friend. I just call him Kevin. Um, his name's not Kevin. I just call him that. But we we were talking about this in person the other day, and he's like, 2 years ago, I'd have been the guy that no matter what law enforcement did, I would come up with an excuse for why what they did was right.
Mhm.
And I've ruined him. So, but so yeah, one of the things I'm working on over on my Substack is uh, uh, working on my memoir or story, if you will, about my journey through having my perspective changed on the back to blue mentality at all costs. I'm also working on kind of some personal life stories, and I'm also putting my poetry and my short fiction will be going up behind the paywall on Substack because I don't want just any looky loo coming in there. So if you want to read my poetry and some of my other my short fiction, that'll be up there as well. But everything else is out in the open to read. So I'm not a journalistic writer the way Skipper is. I write more essay style, philosophical, observational stuff. So
Fun fact about my degree in journalism: when I actually went 4 years at the University of Toledo, and 3 of those years I was an engineering major. And both Marines and engineers are not known as very good writers, so that's why I chose journalism as my degree, because I could tell it was a weakness. My writing was, and I wanted to improve upon it. So that's how that came about.
well, I love that you tackled that because I can see it when you're doing research into stories that you're covering or that you and I are covering together and stuff. I can see that journalistic aspect in you. Um, Very didactic. Uh, I do you well, you know how I do research. You know, like when I'm like dive into it, but not just like I don't start. I dive straight for the bottom, and then I work my way up to the top. You start at the top and work your way down to the bottom, which is journalism. Like I'm like
Yeah,
no, well, like our guest that we're gonna have on here in a little bit when she's done taking her little break. Um, when I reached out to her, I didn't I asked her who she, for lack of better terminology, I asked Katie. I said, "Who are you?" And she immediately said, "Oh, I do veterans advocacy in front of the VA in Omaha." I'm like, "No, that's like I'm not what do you do, but who are you and why is this important to you?" And I I think that comes from how I tell stories. Does
mhm,
that make sense?
absolutely.
It comes from how whether it's true stories or the way I write my short fiction or even the poetry, it comes from how I tell stories. And I think that's why we make a good team when we're working on things together, is because of the different approaches. At least that's how I see how you tell your stories, is that you
Mhm.
tell them from a very um pull the
I
thread kind of perspective, where I pull the thread from one end, you pull it from the top and work your way down. And oftentimes we find ourselves in the middle.
yeah.
And uh, speaking of which, we haven't given up on talking about Skipper's stuff, but
Mhm.
just so you know, I know it's been several weeks since I did my initial breakdown of the assault on Skipper by um, his
Oh,
ex.
there's updates even since then.
And that's the thing, is I want to make sure as I'm telling this story that I'm getting down to as the bottom of it as much as possible and working my way up
Mhm.
through it. And that's why, and I had some feedback from when I, did the very first video as it pertains to your story, Skipper, and some of it is, well, why has he got to talk about this so much? Well, because there's so much happening here,
Yeah,
and this is an introductory video, and it needed that much breakdown just in the few short minutes that we had there, because without doing it the way I did it, and I'm not knocking any of the others, because a lot of the other people that have picked up the material and are working with it, they're doing a great job
yeah.
in what they're doing. I'm approaching it from a different angle, from a different perspective. And that's what I'm doing. I've got file, Skipper knows because he sent them. I have file after file after file after file after file in Dropbox that I'm going through and saying, okay, how does all of this connect? And that's what I've done with Katie, talking to her. And that's what I do
Mhm.
with everybody
Yep.
that I do just information on my channel alone, just by myself. That's how I approach every single story. That's why what a lot of shows would do would be, here's a one and done. Very few of the stories I cover are ever one and done
Mhm.
because there's always so much more going on. So
And just before we get into our guest, I do have something that I would like to notify everyone of, and I haven't even really had a chance to talk with you about it. It got landed to me on Friday. But as everyone knows, we do advocacy here. We're trying
you're
to
going to
improve.
you're finally being deported to Venezuela.
Not yet, but those
Okay.
Latinas are calling me. No, Change.org looked at a couple of our petitions that we've done in the past, and I know some people say petitions never work. They liked the one I did about veterans with their Second Amendment rights, and there's new legislation, and they've asked if we still intend to do that petition. And I said, yeah, it's still active. And they said, well, would you be willing to do a new one based upon this legislation? I said, absolutely, we support
Nice.
it. And they already did like a kind of a short interview with me. We're gonna re-put out the new petition based off this legislation, and they're gonna highlight Veteran Nation as the advocacy group pushing for this.
Oh, that's superb. Thanks for telling me. Thanks for springing that on me live.
Well, it's just something that's been out there. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, what Skipper does and what TC does, it doesn't matter." I disagree. I think it does. Some of it will have big impacts. Some of it has small impacts. But what it does is it just plants those seeds, and then it all grows from there.
I thought you were going to tell everybody about us officially trying to change the name of the incorporated uh, nonprofit, and how
That's
I
just a small change.
right, but how for some reason that for the like not the first time ever, but for some reason the technology just wasn't cooperating with me, and when I finally got it figured out, they're like, no, you're too late. I thought you were going to tell
That's
everybody that. Hey, TC's a moron, by the way. He's a
TC is very boomer and approaches technology. Oh, no, that's just a small thing, but we'll get it done. We'll get it done. But it will once we get that. The name change is a dumb thing, but for us to do other stuff, we have to do it. And all it is we're officially changing the name of the Veteran Nation Foundation to the Veteran Nation Foundation Inc. All that we're doing.
not INK either. We're not going to be doing like tattoos or anything like that. So.
There's other groups out there, like there's a Veteran Nation motorcycle group. I'm trying to think. There's one other Veteran Nation something out there. We're just making sure that it's very clear that the Veteran Nation Foundation is a completely separate organization.
I'm put Georgie in timeout.
We don't want to be sued, aka.
Well, if they want to take over my house payments, they can sue me.
True, true.
So, I mean,
So, should we bring in our guest?
well, yeah. So we've got Katie with us. She's from Omaha, and I actually grew up about 50 miles from Omaha, 50 miles east of Omaha. So I'm very familiar with the area. But Katie's from Omaha. She's a veteran, and shock of shocks, she's had nothing but trouble with her local VA. I I know that you're all Skipper. I know that surprises you. I know you're surprised. Are you trying to find? I can't hear. If you're playing with your soundboard, I can't hear it. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I am.
yeah.
Can everyone in
I
the
hope
chat
not.
here?
I really hope not. So yeah. Anyway, Katie has for the last year been doing a lot of advocacy, literally outside of the VA in Omaha, and she's not just doing it for herself. She's actually doing it for the VA clientele in Omaha who are also, she's finding out running into numerous issues. Um, And the more advocacy that she's done, the worse they have treated her, which is counterintuitive if you ask me. Like if you've got somebody who's doing advocacy and you know they're not afraid to like point fingers and tell on you, you would just imagine that maybe for no other reason than you don't want trouble, you would stop targeting that person. Nope, the VA has done to Katie what it's done to so many other people that we know and have talked to and highlighted. The more advocacy she does, the more they turn the heat up on her. And when I started, deep diving into her story, talking to her, getting to know her, the more I'm like, this is a Veteran Nation exclusive that we have got to get out. And so, Skipper, bring Katie in and I'll let you start asking the questions, and then I'll keep Katie on track. By the way,
Sure,
Katie
sure.
is.
Oh, we lost your sound.
Oh, hi.
No, we lost TC sound. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. That's weird. That is very weird.
It was still
There we
going.
go. We got you.
So as I was saying, Katie is like a chihuahua on methamphetamine chasing after a crack rock carried by a squirrel that's been doing speedball. So, we're gonna have to work deeper in track. So Skipper, you start asking questions, and I'll just be over here.
Sure. So first off, Katie, you're a veteran. Please just kind of give us a broad overview of your where you served, how what you did, what service, all that stuff.
I was an Army medic. I joined up on my 18th birthday. I went to Fort Hood, Texas after training. And then, like a month later, I was in Abu Ghraib prison working in the detainee camps. And then for the last 9 months there, I worked in the emergency room. I went back to Fort Hood and I taught at the schoolhouse, the Medical Simulation Training Center, where I taught healthcare classes for providers. And then I was sent to 224 Military Intelligence, which is Savannah, Georgia. And I helped stand up and run a flight surgeon clinic. And then I was medically retired due to my legs. I've had 9 surgeries since then. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And how did you get into this veteran advocacy?
Um, so I've been filing complaints about the conditions of the psychiatric intensive care ward here since 2017. And when I realized, I was told by the lead patient advocate that congressional complaints, patient advocate complaints, VA OIG complaints, and White House hotline complaints all go back to the public or the patient experience officer at the local VA.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there is no way for veterans to have our voices heard, no matter how valid our concerns are. And so I made a sign and I stood on a corner and I said, ignore this.
And I do want our viewers to know that's very common. When you start making these complaints, they give them back to the organization that you're complaining on. So the government, as we've said on this platform many times, they'll investigate themselves and find they did nothing wrong.
So I literally called the VA OIG line for the 4th time and I recorded this. I record everything. I'm in a one-party consent state. And I said, I have 20 VA employee names and phone numbers whose jobs were threatened with if they use the whistleblower line. I'm going to give you guys one name and one phone number, and we will see what happens.
I just
later,
want to clarify something. I just want to clarify something too. Single party consent state or single party consent is not what everybody, or even two-party consent is not what everybody makes it out to be. So when you are in the employ of the government, federal government or state government or county government or municipal government, you are not entitled to privacy or consent in a conversation at all. You are not entitled to that. That single or two-party consent applies chiefly to conversations between private individuals for public release. When you are dealing with the government, and you guys know I hate that word. I hate the term government, but when you are dealing with government or government's employees, they are not entitled to giving consent. They cannot refuse to talk to you, and they cannot come after you
Yep.
for recording their conversations. They cannot. There is no protection for them in that regard. Unless you're calling them,
They shouldn't.
you're calling them on their personal phone, which is a completely different story. So,
And I'll let everyone know there's two other things about that. You can, if you think that there's ever going to be a crime and you're going to capture that with your recording, you can record for that. You can also record for your own personal documentation. If you record every phone call, for instance, that for your own personal documentation, there's nothing against the law about that either.
Yeah. No, I was just CYAing because the VA will bully you. I actually received a text about 20 minutes ago from a fellow veteran that said that they would not allow her to go to her appointment because she insisted on recording it. They denied her appointment. Yeah, and I was like, girl, it's a federal building. I don't know what to tell you. So I'm so sorry. But anyways, if you're wondering where I called the VA Office of Investigator General and I said, these employees are scared. I want to report corruption within the high up administration team. I used all the magic words. I said, I need this to go outside of my local VA. And I still got a letter postmarked the same day from the patient experience officer at my hospital saying they received my complaint. So if I'd given them all 20 names, all of those employees would have been thrown under the bus. And this is a huge problem because we have employees I've recorded saying that they're scared to use the whistleblower line. I've been receiving whistleblower complaints from employees.
No.
Sorry.
This is why we were talking about how Skipper and I tell stories, how we tell a story, and why I'm over here. What you're talking about is phenomenal, and it's foundational to what you're doing now. But let's go back to your very first experience with the VA where you started to have problems. And Skipper, remind with Valor View News, asking the question, HIPAA. We'll talk about HIPAA and whose responsibility HIPAA is, and who gets in legal trouble for HIPAA violations, because it's not the general public. But we'll talk to that. All three of us here.
I actually used to teach that class.
Exactly right. That's exactly. Let's go back, Katie, to the beginning of what your very first problem was, because I think what we did is we started to talk about who you are and what you did. We went from your deployments. When she said she was in Abu Ghraib, that doesn't mean she was a prisoner. I just want everybody to be aware. So
no,
they would have probably liked to put her in Guantanamo, in Gitmo now. But so you get medically retired. You've had numerous surgeries, so you've been dealing with the VA for a while. But when did your problems come up? And then let's start to work our way into why you have a list of names that's over 20 long, because frankly, everybody's going, wow, she's got 20 names, but why? So let's get to the why you have 20 names and how it ties into your story.
Okay. Well, there was a lot of issues, but honestly, the first time I remember having an issue was my first interaction with the VA. I have severe anxiety. And I was on Klonopin and, anxiety medications, pain medications. I've had both my hips done, numerous surgeries. The first time I got to the VA, they took me off all my meds the same day and then gave me like a grocery sack of off-label use meds and then scheduled me again for like a year later. And I was so confused. And I asked for like, psychiatric because I was rated for that. And I was seen like once a year. So it was always just kind of this icky feeling. And my first real like conflict with the VA was when a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon, performed surgery on my right hip. And after I went to my follow up, a nurse followed me into the parking lot to tell me that surgeon had been fired from a local hospital for trigger warning, touching his female patients while they were under the influence of anesthesia.
Wow.
And nobody ever reported him to the board, right? And I'm an MST, and the VA hired that man. So I didn't go to any of my follow-up appointments after that. And so this has just been a pattern of poor providers. You know what I'm saying? My big focus has been on the psychiatric care because Nebraska veteran suicide's gone up 26.2%. And I was almost to the point, again, trigger warning.
Go back and say that again about just
Say what again?
the percentage increase in veteran suicides in Nebraska's VA system.
Okay, sorry, it's all very distressing to me because I meet a lot of these people.
But
so
that's
the Nebraska
very important. That's very, very important, that increase.
Yes.
So
yes, that's what I keep telling the congressmen I meet with. So since 2019, our suicide statistics have been on the increase and they've gone up 26.2%. We used to be below the national average and now we're well beyond it. The average VA to like psychiatrist to patient ratio is 1 to 1,200. Ours is 0 in the outpatient clinic to 76,000. So I firmly believe the frustration with our medical care paired with the lack of access, they closed our walk-in mental health clinic in 2019, is what has led to this drastic increase in veteran suicide here.
I think that when you start to deal, like Skipper and I have talked about this an awful lot. Another group that I do a lot of work with is Defend the Guard here across the United States. And one of the aspects that we really focus on is the high amount of veteran suicides and service related suicides. And what I think people fail to understand is that when you take the veteran suicides alone and you add, I want to say this carefully, when you couple veteran suicides with active duty suicides, the numbers are astronomical. What they aren't telling everybody is the full truth on the suicide epidemic in the military. And the VA refuses to address it because if they acknowledge that it's happening and that a lot of it's coming from active duty, they are going to open themselves up to a whole world of hurt, not just on a financial level, but just on an accountability level. And to go in a matter of just a few years from being one of the lowest states percentage wise for veteran suicide to climbing into the top percentages with a 26% increase tells you everything that you need to know about just how much the VA is failing.
And
So
just for everyone's edification, I'm not on my phone. I'm actually retweeting this out so more people can see this because this is an important story. I
Right.
actually just tweeted it at the House VA Affairs Committee.
Yeah. So
I
thanks,
just
thanks,
really
Mr.
wanted
Coop.
to.
I'm doing research, by the way, while she's talking. So
I've done so much research. I am diagnosed autistic ADHD, and I will tell you guys, this VA opened in 1947 and it shows the mindset there is completely like they have admitted to me that they do not screen for neurodivergence. So, did you guys know that borderline diagnoses can be decreased by 40% when neurodivergent screening is implemented? So, by their own admission, 40% of their borderline is probably wrong. In my opinion, labels come with
when you use the term borderline here, are you talking about the cluster B personality disorders like
yes,
borderline personality disorder, or are you
yes,
talking? Okay, right,
yes.
and there again, that's another very big statistic that, and here's why it's important. One, we have a couple of things happening in the U.S. today. And this is going to upset a few people, but just bear with me. One, we have an over tendency of everybody to automatically see everything as absolutely neurodivergent. Like your kid can't sit still, they must be neuro. No, sometimes your kid just can't sit still. That does not make them neurodivergent. You know, that's that there is there is a we're still seeing a push to get everybody labeled ADHD and or now even in the autism spectrum, right? What we do know with people who are on the spectrum when it comes to neurodivergence, autism in particular, and people with ADHD, they can be fully functioning members of society. They don't even necessarily need therapy. They're moving towards developing therapy for people with neurodivergence, especially autistics. But what the VA does with people with personality disorders and mental health problems is they treat it all as if it was a pre-existing condition apart from their military service. Because if they can do that, then they don't have to pay for meds, they don't have to pay for therapy, they don't have to help that person. And we'll get there, but even like with Katie, now they want to pull everybody's autism records. And they're looking for a way out. So that's what's happening. They're looking for a way. They're looking for a way out. Katie, did you freeze or did I just take all your thunder? I think we froze Katie. So
Yeah, I think she's frozen. I do want everyone to know Katie does have a GoFundMe for all the work that she's doing, and I just put the link in the uh, YouTube, so we have that there. I'll get it posted in the others because right now Restream is not letting me post across the board. All right, so she's looks like she's gonna try to come out and come back in, uh,
yeah,
which will be
and
good because
Mr. Cope, I'm not going for a Mr. Clean look. I don't run a razor over my head. I just take the clippers and I just set it to 0 and then I let it grow. I was looking like a chia pet yesterday, so I cut it. So
and I'm gonna post her her
yeah,
link to her.
she's got her TikTok. She's got Instagram, doesn't she? I thought she said she had Instagram. I don't know. No,
Yeah,
wait,
we
that was
here I do have for her TikTok because this will be a good way for us to do some plugs. Um, let me pull up. Oh, and she's back. Nope, she's not. I thought we had her back. Let me get her TikTok up here. There we go. So there, people can go to her TikTok. That's her QR code right there. Uh, at Katie the Crazy Veteran on TikTok. Pretty funny, pretty funny TikTok at name. Um, oh, here we go. Do it that way. Yeah. So for those of
I
you
like
looking
that
for,
she's I mean, she's not really monetizing it, but I mean, you and I refer to it as monetizing. Like, she's just taking the fact that they've labeled her, basically they're questioning her sanity, and so she's like, all right, I'll just run with it. I'll just fine. You want to call me crazy?
there she is. Hey there, we were just plugging all your stuff. Oh, is she back?
It's well, it's Nebraska, so they're probably lucky if they have electricity.
That's we'll figure it out. It I was having issues yesterday because we got a heat wave here, and it was interrupting my uh, internet yesterday. But yeah,
Really?
oh yeah. I was trying to get on Coop Show yesterday, and it just was not working for me.
I think maybe Coop just wasn't letting you in, and he was saying, "I think it's your internet." It's
Okay, we have her back. Can you hear us?
this. We are professional, folks.
It's not showing me the thing for. Okay, there's her microphone now.
Katie, you got us?
Can you hear us? Okay. Oh, I see. So we have Gravy, who I don't know if Gravy is still in the Omaha system, but Gravy was living in that system for a while. I do know that, so maybe he can give us some insight. Will the VA have to cover all the side effects of the transgender surgeries? If they're 100% disabled, yes, they will. Because 100% disability in the VA does not mean that you're completely disabled and can't take care of yourself. It means that the government is 100% responsible for all of your medical care and injuries.
And that's whether you agree with the decisions people are making with their own bodies or not. That's you know, if a vet is leaning that direction and they've earned their time, there's not much you can do about it. So we're
Uh, I'm just reading some of your guys' comments here. But let's see where her
yeah.
fundraiser. So she's at 125 raised right now with a 20,000 goal. Actually, I'm going to go in there right now and donate. Can we get some of the people here to donate uh, while we're doing this live today?
That would be phenomenal. We'd love that.
Oh, we got you back.
I'm so sorry. I don't know, like my computer just stopped working, so I was trying and I got back on my cell phone.
It
But
all
like
works.
I'm so sorry. I just have to make sure everybody understands just how abhorrent the conditions are on that ward, you guys. Like there is a woman
So
that's been there for 2
yeah,
years
let's
and it's
let's
sad.
let's go back if we can, because I don't think I think you may have froze before you got any of your
Oh,
story out. So, and I know that you're not shy about this. You have spent some time in the mental health system at your local VA on one of the mental health wards.
yes.
Folks, it's a reality. Like, mental health is absolutely a reality issue that we need to be addressing, and we have to recognize, and we have to get over the stigma of what it means to be hospitalized for mental health as veterans. And the VA does have mental health wards. The problem is, most of the time, the VA mental health wards look like a scene from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And Katie has spent a fair number of days exposed to this environment. Honestly, some of it probably she would say fair enough. Probably needed the time off, so needed the time. Some of it is, for lack of better terminology, how she's treated by the VA, and even the fact that like they treat her like a criminal. She gets put into a ward where she's doing time. Like literally, they treat them like criminals. And as she said, there's a gal in one of the wards who's been there for 2 years, folks.
Yeah.
2 years. That's a jail sentence. That's a jail sentence. Tell us about her a little bit, Katie.
That's how long I'm banned for, too, by the way. So I spent 22 days in the ward total, and 22 is 22 too many. So what happened was, just to back up, is I lost 43% of my body weight without trying, and I kept telling them, I cannot eat, my brain feels fuzzy. And I got so frustrated with the lack of give a crap that I was at the point where I was contemplating ending it just to prove a point, to be honest. Um, so I went into the ER and I said, my brain feels fuzzy. I can't think. And since I'm 100% for PTSD, I was placed into the mental health room and a mental health consult was placed. Before any of my labs came back, um, I was involuntarily committed based off of a 3-line Gmail with no physical characteristics, diagnosis, physician, anything. Anything.
Wow.
And mind you, I was in the room. It also stated on that paperwork that I was to be in ER room number 9 for the duration of my stay, which is like a joke we make in hospitals. You can't admit to ER. So the county had no idea where I was. 5 days. I did 5 days that time. And when I say the conditions are torturous, I'm vegetarian due to my service-connected PTSD. I can't eat meat, okay? I'm not gonna say why. It's a thing in my brain. I can't do it. It took the 4th day before the doctor changed my diet order to vegetarian, so I was not being fed. The other patients were getting upset about it. I finally went down with a blood pressure of 52/30 and had to be sent to the ICU to receive aid. And then they put me back in the PICU, back in the psychiatric ward, and I had to spend an additional 2 days there. Now, let me paint y'all a picture, okay? Like, it is literally like a prison. I did a Venn diagram overlapping somebody serving a life sentence versus a veteran experiencing mental illness. And it's the prisoner that gets to go outside for an hour every day. See their children have their dietary restrictions respected, see an advocate, a lawyer, have a private conversation. It is not the veteran. And the fact
Wow.
that we're housed on the same ward as people who are experiencing mental illness on a criminal level is terrifying, you know? So we need real change and we need it now. That's why I've been trying to get help with like a lawyer and like everything, because we need to hit them where it freaking hurts to have our voices heard. Because I've tried everything else.
Well, I did share out your GoFundMe, and I've actually, while we were here on air, I have donated to it. So I'm going to again encourage everyone who's watching to donate to your GoFundMe, um, because we want to support you because you're looking to start an organization to help with this, correct?
Yes, that's so during this year and a half I've been protesting and meeting other veterans, I really feel like the the root of how to change this is to have our voices heard, which means we need to have our voices heard legally. So I'd like to start a nonprofit that, well, one branch of it would be to get veterans in contact with mental health services like Tactical Recovery, which is a nationwide program and covered by the VA. But the other branch, I want to be lawyers that will help our senior veteran population navigate the claims process, because it's very confusing and it's all online. And I'm just a chick with an old laptop, and I can only do so much to help them. They're completely reliant on charity besides the county VSOs. So I want to start an organization of like lawyers that will either donate their time or we can try to pay them, where they'll help us help veterans navigate claims, navigate special monthly compensation instead of us just dying waiting on the claims process, you know?
And again, I'll encourage everyone who's watching, if you can go while we're live today, if you can go, and even if you can donate $5, please do so. Let's try to get her bumped up. We're at $150. Let's see if we can get that over 200 before the end of the show today.
You know what? This is what I'm gonna do, and I don't care if this pisses anybody off. Folks, if some jacked up meth head tart in Rochester, Minnesota can scream the N-word on video and go viral across the United States for being a crackhead, bigoted piece of crap in a public park, and can go launch a GoFundMe and get almost $1 million, there is no goddamn reason why every single person out there, especially Trump voters, who say they love the military, who say they love the veteran community, can't get off their asses and fork over $5 freaking for a veteran who's literally being treated like a criminal. I'm so friggin' tired of these stories. I'm so tired of hearing about it. From
the shoes are even the same. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, no, from the angry vet, from Kevin, from Tav, the angry vet, to blind justice, to Skipper's had his own issues with the VA, to our good friend Kanu from Veterans Affairs Media. Katie, every single region of the United States has got somebody who's trapped in the VA system, who's getting treated like crap, and they all need help. But we got a crackhead whore of a woman that's using the N-word all over the place, and everybody in less than a week can get this woman damn near $1 million. Are you kidding me? You're like, nobody's telling Katie's story except for us. Nobody's telling this story except for us. But
if we get Katie to her goal, I will say the N-word.
No, don't say like that's not
No,
what
he would he wouldn't.
Okay. I was like,
and if he did, he'd make up some other word and call it the N-word. So like nachos or ninja or nunchucks. No.
Katie's not used to my humor yet.
oh no, I got banned for flipping off the VA. Like, y'all know that. Like, that's First Amendment free speech. Like, I got banned for that. I was handing out Girl Scout cookies to the veterans and flipping off the VA hospital, and some of the employees, not gonna lie, some of the employees. And I got banned 4 times. I'm still banned. I have another year of hard time.
And when she says banned, just so you guys know, they're not refusing to let her have access to the clinic. When they ban her, her ban is she has to be escorted. Technically, that's their thing, that she has to call ahead. She can't do any walk-ins. She can't show up for a vaccine clinic. That's just a walk-in. She can't do any of that. She's got to call in. Everything's got to be by appointment. And even though they're not allowed to escort her, they still send the VA police every time she's there and walk her everywhere that she goes.
The cops, just to make sure, because some of the cops have been like on my side. I actually recorded Major Connolly of the federal VA police saying we should have done more to help you. And
right, but at the same time,
they don't follow me anymore.
Right, but they're still we should have done more.
But they're actually supposed to. They're breaking their own rules by not. In my record, it says if she presents without an appointment, even though I am allowed to go to pharmacy or any walk-in clinic that accepts me and does not offer appointments, is the actual vernacular in the ban, or order a behavioral restriction. It says in my record, it just says if she shows up without an appointment, call the police. So none of the employees actually do it. Because like I said, I'm there for them too. I understand, like, they're burnt out. They're tired. My favorite one quit on Friday. She told me, I recorded her, she told me she cries before she goes to work every day because she knows it's another day screwing over veterans by pushing out their appointments further.
Wow. I do want everyone. So for your local news, I put their contact information in the ticker down below. So if you can't donate, but you still want to help, contact them and tell them you need to do this story. You need to have Katie on and do this story and help her with her GoFundMe so that she can actually affect positive change in the Omaha VA system.
And Katie's running into the same thing that AVA has
Yep.
run into. It's political. AVA has reached out to local elected servants who talk so much about how they want to help the veterans. And this is why I was all fired up, folks. I hadn't had a rant for a while. It, we want to help the veterans. And Republican or Democrat, folks, the uniparty duopoly, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. We love the vet. We may not agree on everything, but we all love the veterans and we want to help the veterans. They talk about it, but then they don't ever actually do anything. And that's and the media is the same way. But they're politically connected. And so in Omaha especially, they will not, like, folks, I know a lot of you are like, Omaha, what's that? Omaha is one of the it's the largest transportation hub in the United States, folks, by the way, just so you're aware. Pretty much anything that travels from East Coast to West Coast is going through Omaha, Nebraska. It is a massive, massive area. And for being in Nebraska, it's a massive community. It's over 1.5 million people, folks. That's a large city for the Midwest. And there's a lot of political power in that area. And then when you think about it, Offutt Air Force Base is in that area. There is a lot of very politically connected individuals, and the media doesn't want to cover a story like exposing what's happening with the VA in Omaha because of their political connections, because then the military will turn on them, the VA will turn on them, and the politicians will turn on them. So Katie's got a reporter who's said, "Oh, I see you all the time.
Yep.
I see you all the time. Next time I see you, I'll stop. Good luck with your mission." But no offer to actually really follow through and tell the story. It's because the media is connected and they're controlled.
Oh, in the comments from Gravy, the whole health department is awesome. Sorry. Studies show 20% decreased depression and anxiety with use whole health. Sorry, I just wanted to respond to that guy.
I want to thank Linda. She just gave us a $20 super chat, and she also donated to Katie. And thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. So yeah,
It does help a lot of veterans. Like, I bring food and water on my corner, and like they know they can come there if they need a ride or if they need help with a percentage, or if they're just. I've gotten 4 coins from veterans on their way to become a 22 that saw me in my sign and changed their mind. So you're helping real life veterans, you guys.
yeah, thank you, because that when you have people like Katie who are out there trying to do something to make a difference, uh, you know, it, you'd be surprised that just that one person can save so many lives. Thank you, Buck Naked, as well. Now, I will take this money that you guys are donating, and I will then take that and put it to Katie's GoFundMe.
Best Mother's Day ever. Usually I don't even get coffee. This is nice.
However, I don't know if you want me to send it to you directly or into the GoFundMe, whichever one you prefer. Just let me know. But thank you, Buck Naked. I do appreciate it.
I like your name, Buck Naked.
Can we never say Buck Naked again on?
We're actually saying it long because it's naked, Buck Naked.
My kids are gonna help me plant stuff for Mother's Day. So yeah. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day, people.
And
Yeah,
by
thank
plant
you.
stuff, she means evidence. They're planting evidence and on.
No, flowers.
Oh, so
And cacti.
hostas?
Cacti
Oh, cacti.
and flowers. Yeah.
Hmm. You're
Thank you
putting the
so much.
cacti. You're putting the cacti right underneath the windows so that when the kids try to sneak out, they.
Oh, yeah, they're underneath my window for the light, but I get what you're saying. No, my kids are 8 and 15. They're good kids. They would never do anything like that. Hopefully.
Thank,
Oh, famous last words.
Yeah, knock
thank
on
you.
wood, eh?
Thank you to David and Linda. Look at that. We got you up to 375. Linda early donated $200. David donated another 25. Thank you so much, guys. That
Thank you. Yeah.
you're helping her set up this nonprofit so we can actually affect positive change.
And and folks, quite honestly, I don't care what she does with the money. I know that her goal is to help veterans, but I'm just skip her, mute her so she can't interrupt me. Um, this woman is struggling. All right. She's not out there living high on the hog. She just had. I think if I understood it correctly, her vehicle, which she was already having trouble with and needed some repairs, got rear-ended the other day, and now she can't drive that. And so here she sits having and you guys know how I feel about you've all heard my take on this. Having served her country in a way that she believed at the time was in keeping with making our nation, we're not our republic better, and having kind of the scales fall off your eyes kind of moment, and realizing that maybe it wasn't everything that she thought it was. She still came home despite waking up to the reality that while serving with distinction and with honor, there were a lot of problems with what was happening. And then she gets roped into a system that abuses her and treats her like crap. She's still fighting for this country and for her fellow service members. Still fighting to the point where she can't drive right now, folks. And in Omaha, there again, the whole reason I was painting this picture of Omaha, it's not some small rinky-dink little town in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest. It is a large metro area. When she talks about needing transportation to get to the VA, she either has now to take a bus or ride a bike. And she doesn't live just a couple blocks from the clinic. She lives in a suburb of Omaha. And I can tell you right now, there is no direct, safe way for her to take a bike. So if she raises all of this money and she buys herself a car, that's part of helping fight for the veterans, because there's not a single other person in the city of Omaha who's paying a lick of attention to how the VA is treating her and other vets. And Katie's not out on the corner with the sign that says, "Feel sorry for me, I'm being abused." Her sign is about veterans. She's out there advocating for veterans, and she's got veterans that are walking by her every day. You heard it from her, and I'm telling you, there are veterans thanking her because they're military. We kind of suck it up and drive on. We just like whatever they tell us, we're just going to do, because that's what we do. We don't fight these people, these presumed authorities. Katie's out there fighting for these people. She's helping these people. She has a story, and when I'm finished here, I'll let her tell all of it. Omaha police several years ago ended the life of a veteran And the VA finagled the paperwork on this guy to make it something other than what it actually was, to not have to own any of the responsibility for the situation that this guy was put into. Katie, tell us about this this suicide by cop that happened.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I think for a suicide by cop, you actually have to be armed or a threat as far as like the escalation of force we did at Abu. But I actually have a recording posted on my social media, and it says in forgive if I misquote, but I'm usually pretty close. In 2019, a veteran got blitzed and took some hostages. The police were called. The veteran released the hostages, came out with his hands in the air, and he was legally, though willfully, killed. When VA looked at that, do you think they classified it as a suicide? I said, I hope not. And he said, well, that's when me and the Chiefs partnership. So if you tie that in with the fact that the same day
go back,
I told
Katie, go back just for a second.
Yes.
Very specifically, how did the VA handle that situation? Because I think you know the story so well, it's very easy for you to just kind of spit out the facts and keep going.
Well,
you asked a very clear question about how this was handled. You're not justifying the fact that he took hostages. I want everybody to understand that. He's a veteran. He was in a mental crisis. He got
I think
intoxicated to some degree, and he took hostages in his home. Not just not okay.
It's important that people know how it works, though, in order to like fully let that sink in. Because I've always been a cop guy, man. Like this has been a trip for me this last couple years. And I do love the cops if I'm being burgled or something, you know. But what the VA here does is if you miss an appointment and they can't get a hold of you, they call the police. So for instance, I was on my way to my son's back to school carnival. I was getting ready for that, having ice cream on my neighbor's porch. And it was the same day I told the guy that banned me, Dan Zach, that I was going to release my audio. He called the police and told them I was going to a whole bottle. I had weapons in my house and I had children. So the police response to that kind of call is what that guy got. I'm pretty sure, because if me and my kids and my ex are sitting around the table and the police are around the house and say, you know, Dan released the hostages, I would get up, go outside with the kids, have him come out with his hands in the air. I don't know what happened. All I know is that the police were called on a veteran. He allegedly had hostages. He was killed legally, and it was classified as a suicide in 2019. I've already downloaded the reports of every officer involved shooting, and I want to make it very clear to the cops here, like, because I am a little scared sometimes. I'm not coming at you. The VA gets y'all hyped up and then sends you out here. I'm saying there's a better way to do mental health care. That's all I'm saying.
And what you just said is key, because we don't know the full story behind this guy in 2019. Yeah. We don't know. No one will tell the whole story. We don't know who called. We don't know why they called. We don't know if there were actual hostages or if that was an allegation that was meant, you know, did this guy say something to, you know, somebody at a clinic somewhere? Because what they did to Katie, I just want people need to understand this. What they did to Katie has recordings of this director saying things that would damn him, and his response was to weaponize law enforcement who showed up at her house, and she didn't tell you this part. She reached for, was it your lighter or your phone? I can't remember.
I reached in my pocket. I had a pack of cigarettes and a bouncy ball. And I've never been around cops where they saw me as a threat. So like, I don't know, maybe it's my privilege speaking, but I don't know the rules of not put your hands. And they both reached.
I told you you don't need to worry about whether or not it's your privilege. It's just is how it happens. The VA called, turned her in as being dangerous to self and others. She's in her garage. She goes to grab her cigarettes, and the cops pulled their guns.
Well, they put their hands on her.
Okay, they put their hands on there. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, it's just like it scared me because like my 14
goddamn right it scared you.
was watching out the window. My 8-year-old was home. And I was like, I almost just got shot in my drive. Like, imagine the trauma that would inflict on the cops too, not just my kid. Like everybody in this situation got screwed, you know.
But just they weaponized law enforcement against a veteran who was neither suicidal or dangerous to anyone else because she made a promise that she was going to expose them. Folks, if you're not pissed off, I don't know if there's hope for you at all. I don't know that there's any hope for you. If this doesn't piss you off, if you're still over going, well, they got a tough job to do. The VA can't be everywhere. They got to call somebody. No, they didn't. They didn't need to.
Well, there's also a unit that's specifically for this in Douglas, the county I'm in. It's called the Mary Unit. And they actually just saved a 17-year-old's life. They're tactically trained social workers. But they sent 3 police cruisers, six cops to my house, which is embarrassing kind of too, you know.
So we right now currently have your fundraiser up over $600. Thank you to Gravy, who donated the $200, and then I took the money that people donated via Super Chat and I put that in there.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Stop. Don't.
I didn't say I'm sorry that time. I just said thank you.
I wish there was, you know what I want. Like, so I'm working with a young Marine, which, you know, I have to keep a steady supply of crayons on me at all times. But I'm working with a young Marine, and his experience with the VA has gone phenomenal. He even said to me, maybe it's because I got the ball rolling before I actually got off of active duty. That might be the case. I
can help.
I don't know that, you know, it can help, but just once, I would love to be able to bring somebody on who is multiple years into their experience with the VA and can say, hey, everything's been perfect. I don't know what everybody's complaining about. My experience has been peachy, been wonderful.
Maybe that should be you. Maybe we'll do some claims for you.
Right. Because you know how that'd end for TC. Very first appointment, I'd be in there with my phone, my camera out, and I will
have you so ready when you do your claims. They'll be like, oh, okay, yeah. Like having learned what I have doing this show, yeah, we'll have you.
No, because I would have my phone out and recording the very second I walked up to the door, and it would be over. We wouldn't get anywhere because they were like, "Sir, you're not allowed to do that." And I'm like, "Do you know who you're talking to? Seriously."
Oh, I hit record before I get out of my car. I put it in my pocket and I walk in.
I would say don't record it. Live stream it. Let's get a live stream of Minnesota Black Herb Regiment going into the VA.
Whatever, you know what I meant. So
you could tell them I'm not recording. You're live on the internet right now.
Yeah.
I think I do have some Mother's Day stuff. My kid's supposed to help me plant stuff.
Nope. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. You belong to us today, and but yeah. So, Katie, I know you want to get going, but what can people do besides, you know, some of us is poor like you. So, what can people do to help besides, you know, share out this video, this stream? Is it going to help sharing your social media stuff as you're doing it?
That would help. I've talked to Tammy Duckworth's office out of Illinois. I have talked to everybody. Like, share my stuff. Like, share your story if you're an Omaha veteran, you know. But
How
we
about if you're
really,
anywhere within driving distance of Omaha? Katie's pretty much at the VA clinic every day, that pretty much every day. There are days she can't be, but she's pretty much out there every day doing her thing, rain or shine, hot or cold. She's pretty much out there. How about you just take a day during the week if you can? How about you just stand up and you stand with a fellow veteran and just spend the day outside of the VA clinic with Katie? Imagine if we could just start encouraging veterans in the area to just start showing up.
because they watch us, you guys. Like Laura, like she's a veteran that stopped. Hunter's a veteran that stopped, and they told me that they watch me on the corner, and it gives them hope when they're allowed to look outside. And I've been saying for a year and a half, like I want to see the streets just lined with veterans someday, and like give them a lot of hope. You know what I'm saying? But thank
Well,
you so much.
we definitely want to support you. So whenever you're doing anything, if you want us to help promote it, we're there. I just shared your GoFundMe onto our Veteran Nation Facebook group, and I know you're a part of that. Feel free to use our platforms as much as we can.
Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone that donated and is like sharing and beeping. I love the beeping. It annoys the crap out of the administration.
What's beeping? I don't get it.
My sign says fix veterans mental health on the front, and then I spin around and it says honk if you love a quote crazy veteran, because end the stigma. None of us made it out saying thank you very much. So I don't even have to hold the sign anymore. People honk, and it's more of a visual, or it's an auditorial, like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still holding you accountable. You know what I'm saying? So people beep when they see me.
I gotcha. I was like, is that like, was that something? Did I miss something in the social media world? Is beeping a new thing now? Like,
Yeah, no, that's my thing.
that's your thing. All right, Katie,
Thank
go
you.
go plant your cacti.
Thank you. Have a really good one, everybody.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Katie.
joining us.
Oh,
It's very inspirational to see veterans who are willing to be there to fight and help the others.
yeah. As soon as I started talking to her, I'm like, yeah, this is a like this is content for us, for Vet Nation. It's like, not that I'm not interested in it, but I just feel like this is definitely more of a VA or a Veteran Nation exclusive, just because of the reality of what it deals with. And and I love our community. I love what, how we watch out for each other and what we do. And
Mhm.
and I really think, like, it's probably easy for me to say, but I'm 5.5 hours, almost full 6 hours away from Omaha. If I'm going down there, I'm going to make a trip out of it. By the way, if you're within a decent driving distance of Omaha and you got kids or grandkids, you should go and make a couple of days out of it, and take the kids along, and then you could stop at the Henry Dorley Zoo. It is the best zoo in the United States, folks, bar none. There is no other zoo in the U.S. as good as the Henry Dorley Zoo. It is. It is. I'm not even exaggerating. If you go and look this place up, you will. It's phenomenal. But besides that, if you're even within 2 hours of a drive of Omaha, there's really no reason why you can't, touch base, connect with Katie on social media, and say, hey, I'm coming to Omaha on Thursday. I'll be there at 9. Let's meet. Let's connect. Pretty sure she's gonna be easy to find. And she's right. If you're a vet in the Omaha area and the Omaha VA clinic is your clinic, is that's where you go for your care, you're already going there. Why not throw a sign in the back of your car or your truck or whatever, and when you're done with your appointment, stand on the sidewalk with Katie.
And
Stand there.
I've offered her our platform. If she wants to do more. She's got her TikTok, and everybody who's got a TikTok, I wish I did, but I don't. Go follow Katie on TikTok. But I've also offered her that she can promote whatever she's doing on Veteran Nation. I'm opening the doors to her. So if she wants to push things out through us or through the Facebook or any of our stuff, I'm happy to do it, because it, there are veterans out there who are doing things only about themselves, and that's fine. Build your brand, but she's doing it all for other people, and I really support that. And for those of you sharing this and her links, thank you so much for doing that, because if you can't give, share her links, share her GoFundMe. Make a phone call to the news, as I've got their numbers down below. Whatever we can do to help support her, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I meant what I said too. Like, I literally don't care what she does with the money that she gets. I know
Mhm.
she's talking about doing a nonprofit, but like, I don't. You guys, I've gotten to know her over the last few weeks. Skipper's been in communication with her now for over a week. Like, she's legit. She's the real deal. But she's also not like independently wealthy, and she is struggling. And
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 starting a
so,
nonprofit is tough.
it,
Having done it, it is
especially
tough.
when you're broke.
Yeah,
I
it costs me
like
money.
she's
The foundation.
Yeah. You're like Katie's literally the epitome of nonprofit. She's got no profit coming in. So, like, I know how she feels. But um if she needs that money just to, like, get the car back on the road or be able to go and do what she's doing, or if it's even just to take the kids out for an ice cream cone, I don't give a damn. Like,
Mm.
I just don't care. Especially, in light of some of the crap that I have seen get funded in the last month and a half in this country. Uh, the things we're giving money to, never mind. Um, I just I've absolutely I've had it. I have been seriously contemplating driving down, just taking a day and going down there myself. I I I just I If I can find a way to do it, if I can, guarantee the roadworthiness of my vehicle to get down there and back, I will. I'll go down and join her just for a day, um, even if it's for 4 hours, 5 hours there, 4 hours there, or five hours there, 4 hours hanging out with her, and 5 hours back. I mean, who needs sleep? It's highly overrated. But yeah, it's a fight worth fighting, she, she has the heart to help, and there's just no reason why she can't be flanked by hundreds of veterans in Omaha. Even if their experience has been good, you know, that should encourage them. That should actually motivate them to want to help other veterans have that same experience.
And I think Gravy, who's in our chat right now, I think he still lives kind of in the area. Maybe we can, if there's a group of you, maybe we can do like a Veteran Nation thing as part of it.
A thing, a veteran thing.
Meet up, maybe stand with her in front of the hospital, something.
I just
Whatever
like
you
how you're
guys are
just
willing
like
to do.
a VA, a veteran nation thing. Like, it's like we got a thing now.
I, I would love to get a live stream from it. I would say that if people want to go and they want to live stream on Veteran Nation, um, if they're going, all they have to do is say, "Hey, I'm going. What do I got to do?" And I'll happily put that together.
Well, we could have AVA go. Like, he's a stay at home dad. He's got nothing but time. I'm kind of I want to know where he is today.
Gravy's 2 hours away. Okay, I knew you were close, but I didn't think you were still living in that area.
Ooh. I don't know why I yawned. I'm not even tired right now. But Skipper, what do you got going on this week? So
I've actually got some content already planned. It's already uploaded, ready to go out. So, just some fun stuff. Nothing too crazy. Um, and beyond that, I'm doing my gardening.
I what's gardening in the high desert look like?
Actually, this soil out here, even though there's the top layer of sand, it's actually pretty fertile once you add water to it. And we got some rain this week, so all of my stuff is doing pretty well, with the exception of like one thing here or there. Um, but all the things that are struggling are all my indoor plants. But my outdoor stuff, the peach tree is looking great. The orange tree is doing awesome. Apple tree and even the avocado, all doing really good. So,
When you it's so funny watching your camera because you have that autofocus thing on your camera. And every time you move your head back and forth, the camera, like I feel like I'm watching like some sort of surrealist video. I keep waiting for it to like fisheye you. So, but yeah, any like you said, you got some content already coming out this like planned to come out this week. Fun stuff. Like any hints? Like
well,
no teasers. Come on, man.
sure, I'll give a teaser. I was talking with some veterans this week, and we were talking because they're putting up another bill to close the commissaries, the military commissaries, because they're losing money. And
No.
we started talking about ways to save the commissaries, and I think we came up with a pretty good idea. And that's a video that'll be going out probably tomorrow.
It's not one of your elevator pitches, is it?
No, no, this is a little bit longer, and it's not a fun thing. It's a serious thing.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were doing like some sort of like elevator pitch for a new like reality show, Save the Commissary or something. Where you like
No, but I think this could work. I think it could work. I'll
when
be
that
interested in
drop?
people's comments.
When does that drop?
I'm probably gonna put it out tomorrow.
Planning on coffee with Skipper for the whole week, or
I'm gonna try to. Some of those days I just wake up late, and it's like, you know,
I love that you're just like, yeah, I woke up. I don't know.
I am back. All those days in Vegas, I was sleeping in because I was out late, and I'm back into my routine now where I'm getting up early. So the chances of coffee with the skipper are very high.
I do want to speak for everybody who watches. No one wants to see you shirtless drinking beer again. In
Oh,
a
I,
hot
I
tub,
got some
in a hot
hate
tub or
for that.
not in a hot tub.
I got some
Well,
hate for that. It's like, really? That's what bothers you guys?
well, yeah, just no one needed to see that. Like your bald head's bad enough. So, uh,
Uh,
so yeah, uh, I'm doing tomorrow's TC and Friends Monday Night Musings is going to be a live stream of city council meeting. We're going to be going to the city council meeting and live streaming that for
I like those.
TC and Friends Monday Night Musings. I will be speaking at this city council meeting, and it's
Public
just
comments or
no, during public comments. Yeah,
okay?
um, just tune in. That's all. Just tune in. You're gonna want to see what I'm doing. You will enjoy it if you understand. So if you know anything about my think local, act local motivation, that's what I call my channel members or act localists. My whole goal is to get people involved at the local level. I like Katie's a really good example of getting involved at the local level. And I want to see that translated into uh, all of you starting to go to your city council meetings, starting to go to your county commission meetings. And I'll even pitch this from the veterans angle. Go to your county commission meetings because pretty much every county either has its own or works in conjunction with veterans. They have their own veteran service offices at the county level that are direct extensions of the county, direct extensions of state veteran services. So going to a county commissioner meeting, especially, and saying, hey, as commissioners or whatever, what's your perspective on, getting the veteran services more active in your community, in our county? But my goal is to get people to focus where we should be focusing, and that's at the local level, where most governance actually takes place: school boards, city councils, county commissions, and actually working so that the city council stops thinking it's their job to control every aspect of your life, to the point where they fine you for not mowing your yard the way they want it mowed. Yes, folks, that if you live in an area that has grass, they could take your house from you if you don't mow your yard right. That sounds ridiculous, but it's ultimately true, because they could fine you for having your grass too long. And how they fine you is they send city staff out to mow your yard, and then they charge you a minimum of in a city of Spring Valley. The fine for that is about $150 to $200 per incident, and they assess that to you. And if you don't pay it, they could take your house from you. And my goal is to get people involved, to get local government under control, because if we can get local government under control, it's
Absolutely.
easier to resist state and federal government when they tell us to do stupid things and then threaten us if we don't obey them.
And guess who's on the committees of the state parties? Your local government people.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why I've been doing the town hall stuff and going to city council meetings. And so tomorrow I am going to be reading a work by a classic writer, and I'm going to be reading that during public comments, and then asking some very pivotal questions of the council members without expecting answers. But I'll be doing that tomorrow, and it'll start at about 5:50 Central Time, and I'll be posting that as a live, if you will. I'll be scheduling that here sometime this afternoon, so that if you're interested and you want to set a reminder, you can certainly do that. And then I'm also covering a story, and Skipper, I know you're a little bit aware of it because I know you've watched. I'm covering another story of another state trooper in the state of Minnesota who was involved in another accident that's pretty clear it was a result of the state trooper violating state statutes and driving in an irresponsible, reckless, and negligent way, and almost killing a young man in Sherburne County just a little over a month ago. And this young man, Blake, has been in the hospital having surgeries every day since April 9th. And it looks like he's probably never going to walk again. And he is paralyzed. His legs are literally destroyed. That's how fast the trooper was going when he hit Blake, who was assisting somebody else who was in an accident. And the trooper, that's how his younger brother was in the car with him, as well as a friend. And Blake's younger brother, Braxton, looked up and said, "Man, Blake, the cops are already here. He's going way too fast. He's never going to be able to stop." And then he hit Blake, and then he hit the car. And then the car hit Braxton, the 15-year-old, and the other car that was involved in the accident. And that accident was not what the trooper was responding to. That accident was caused by a confused, and we don't know for sure, but an older gentleman who was driving the wrong way. 911 calls were made. He had an accident with Blake and Braxton. and it was a very minor accident. Blake and Braxton did the Good Samaritan thing, got out to check on him, and that's when the trooper came on the scene, not for the accident, but to try and catch the wrong way driver. And that's where we're at now. And the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office has been investigating for over a month and has had no contact with the family, no updates, no nothing.
I want to give a shout out to David. Thank you for another donation. David gave another $40, and now we have Katie up to $645 so far raised. Thank you so much.
That's why I love this crew. That's why I love these guys. So, because I know that my fundraiser is still out there, and every once in a while somebody still gives. So we really appreciate it because after the missus heart attack back in November, we're still not on our feet. So
remind me, we'll push that out again, because we did the Grangers did hit their goal of the fundraiser we were doing to help them, and they were able to close that down and put that towards their legal costs. So that fundraiser is now closed. The Grangers who were here in today's in the comments today. So I'm glad that we were able to help them. But yeah, let's get yours. We need to get your merchandise.
I stopped selling coffee because it's just everybody's like, "What? We've had enough." Nobody, for the longest time, I was sending out shipment after shipment every week, and all of a sudden it just died. I think if you're like me, your coffee tastes change after a while, and so you can have so much of one, and then you just move on to something else. So that's fine. But I still got my mugs and my tumblers, and I got shot glasses. These are fun, by the way. So like you can get drunk with TC without me being there. So
yeah, we got to get more of that stuff out there for you.
So yeah, I'm telling Blake's story and covering that for his family because the local media is really just not touching it. Sherburne County hasn't updated the family. And on Sunday, well, actually Saturday, I'm going to be live streaming with a candidate for the United States Senate here in Minnesota, Adam Schwarzy. He is a former Marines and then Navy SEAL. He was a SEAL. He's running for U.S. Senate, and he came to the Defend the Guard rally back on April 5th, or excuse me, March 5th. He came, March 5th. He came on March 5th to the Defend the Guard rally, and he spoke in support of it, even though he's running at the Senate, the federal Senate level. He spoke in support of that, and I've invited him to come on the show, and I've invited the other Republican that's announced, Royce White. Skipper's seen a little bit of my back and forth with Royce. Royce does not like me, and I've challenged him multiple times to come on the show and explain himself for some things, and he flat out said, "I'll do anybody's show." And
I remember that.
I screenshotted that, and because I immediately said, "Great, give me an email, shoot me an email where I can coordinate this with you." And then he never responded, but the next to wanting to coordinate a show, an appearance. But the next thing he said to me was he challenged me to a fight. A 34-year-old former NBA player who has an MMA career. Okay, granted, he's fought one fight and lost. Challenged a 54-year-old man, the guy's 20 years his senior, to a fight instead of a debate on my own platform. And anybody knows, like, if you disagree with me, the more you disagree with me, the better. I will give you my Skipper knows this. He's heard me. I will give you my platform to embarrass me. Come on my show and embarrass me. How many times,
Georgie, if you're watching?
No, like with actual real content though, not made up thing.
I do have one quick announcement, and this is something you are familiar with. For a lot of the people who watch us regularly, uh, uh, former and disgraced attorney Robert Luffman, aka Paint Chips, has joined the Veteran Nation Facebook group. So hopefully he stays within the rules of the Facebook group. He is allowed to be a part of it, provided he follows the rules. But if you're in the Veteran Nation Facebook group, feel free to come on in. And if he chimes in on anything, you know, he's got a tendency to make accusations.
Yep. But yeah, I always offer my platform to anybody that disagrees with me. Never has anyone ever taken me up on it. It always comes down to your show is stupid, which he called me weak and my show weaker, by the way. Not Skipper. I mean, I know Skipper thinks I'm weak, but
Have him come on Veteran Nation. I'll moderate the debate.
I, he's not going to do that. He's a coward. But so I've offered everybody who runs for office, especially at the federal level, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, Libertarian, doesn't matter. I always give the opportunity for them to come on the show and talk about why they want to be in office. So I'm having Adam Schwarzy on Saturday the 17th, and then it's going to be a heavy day. But on May 18th. I'm going to be doing a live stream on location from the scene where Trooper Shane Roper killed Olivia Flores last year on May 18th. I'm going to go to the site of the accident and do a live stream from there. And I don't know how long it'll be, but I'm going to go to the site of the accident and do that. And for those that don't know, we had another state trooper last year on May 18th. Doing about 84 miles an hour on a surface road. If you don't know what I mean when I say surface road, I mean he's not on a freeway, an interstate, or a highway. He was actually on a surface road inside of the city of Rochester, reportedly, allegedly looking for a speeder that he saw 30, 40 minutes earlier or something like that. He was doing 84 miles an hour right before he made impact with the vehicle that Olivia Flores was riding in. And the only reason that he wasn't doing 84 when he hit the vehicle that she was in was because he hit his brakes just a bit before he made impact. And are
you guys recruiting state troopers from California because they can't drive here at all?
I don't know what it. Skipper, you've heard me say this. Like, I want, like, and you've seen it. Like, if I can find a video or story of a cop who's doing something admirable, I'll go, hey, folks, just so you can't say all I do is hate, here's an example of a cop doing the right thing. But in Minnesota, it really across the country, it's just a gift that keeps on giving. Every time I turn around, there's just a new story. It's just, and then you wonder why states like Florida are now making laws that require anybody that's going to record cops stay 25 feet or more away. And I don't know if you understand what that looks like, but if you're recording them, you have to be 25 feet away or more. Why?
Yeah.
Why? There's only one reason. It's to avoid accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how good your cell phone is without a telescopic mic. 25 feet away, you might get video, but you're not going to hear what's being said. That's what they're doing. It's in the interest of officer safety. No, it's not. It's in the interest of lack of accountability. And so there's a reason why this stuff is happening, why these stories are coming out. It's just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And so on Sunday of next week, a week from today, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk about Trooper Shane Roper and the fact that he is now blaming the victims of the accident, saying it was the other driver's fault, that he didn't do anything wrong. He was conducting himself in the course of his duties. and the other driver is responsible for Olivia being dead, and still has not gone to trial. It's going to be a year, folks, a year. And he has managed to not only not spend a single day in jail, hasn't had to pay a bond to be free. And he's entitled to his defense. He's accused, so he's entitled to his defense. But his defense is even paid for through basically what amounts to a legal defense fund through his union. And Olivia is dead because of how he drove. And he had a long history of reckless endangerment in police vehicles. He was written up numerous times, 4 times prior to this. He was written up for how he drove. He still hasn't gone to trial. So we're going to be doing a live stream from on scene of the accident that day. So that's what I got going on. And Skipper and I are about due for another debate. We could find something to argue about.
I think we can, yeah.
Skipper's the only one that'll disagree with me and still talk to me.
But I think a lot of that's us veterans. We can argue about shit all day long. It's stupid stuff that
No, we
doesn't
can't.
matter.
What are you talking? That doesn't happen.
Yes, it does.
No way.
Immediately, my mind goes to those 2 guys arguing over the good witch of the East. You've seen that debate where he's like, "It was her sister, and she came down in a bubble, dude."
I don't know what you're talking about, but
I'll have to find the clip and send it to you. That's just where my mind goes.
You are a pop culture obscurist. I will grant you, I will grant you that you are definitely a pop culture obscurist. So, Skipper, did we have a good watch? Did we have a good watch crowd today?
Yeah, we actually got 44 people watching us on X right now, and thank you so much. And we still have people on Facebook, on Katie's Facebook, watching. So thank you so much for being here. As again, everybody watching, if you can't donate to her GoFundMe, please share it out. Also, give a follow on TikTok if you're on TikTok. That doesn't cost anything.
Find her on Facebook. Share out her videos. Watch her videos on Facebook, on TikTok. Hit, whatever the option, heart, whatever that is. Leave comments. Tell them that, Skipper and TC sent you. And just help us keep her in, the best disinfectant is sunlight.
Yes.
And I tell people constantly, and I'll close with this, and then then we can do our goodbye thing. One of the reasons that people remain silent is they're afraid. They're afraid, and they'll say, "Look, I can't say anything. I'm afraid if I do, they're gonna ruin me." Folks, if you're afraid to speak out against things that you know are wrong, and so you don't speak, they already have control of you. Mm-hmm. They've already asserted their dominance over you if they've got you afraid to speak out against injustice. So Katie's bold. She's doing what you would hope every veteran would do, because she's actually speaking in the face of threats. Now imagine if every veteran in the Omaha region, that district, joined her. They couldn't do to all of them what they can do to one. So if you can overcome your fear of your care being hindered or hampered or hurt in some way, grab other vets and have them join you while you join Katie. Because that sunlight will disinfect the mildew that has grown up in the VA. Because sooner or later they're not going to be able to keep us all silent.
Absolutely.
There's not enough of them. Sooner or later, somebody will just say, I've had enough. And if Katie's got a list of 20 plus names of people who are willing to be whistleblowers, imagine what it will look like if those 20 people can stand on a sidewalk with 150 veterans.
Absolutely.
Stay in the fight.
All right,
Skip.
folks, we're going to wrap this up. Again, follow TC, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. It's at MBRR Podcast. Uh, Also, you can join our Veteran Nation Facebook group that we have. We post a lot of stuff in there. We can keep the discussion. If you have stuff that you want to bring to our attention, feel free to post it there. We're both on X. TC is at Robe Regiment. I am at veteran_nation. And TC, anything else I'm forgetting?
Thank you guys for what you did today, especially those of you that are sharing out our stuff and that have given to our
Absolutely.
cause. Thank you very much. That's why we do what we do.
And have a
So,
very happy Mother's Day. And to everyone out there, as always, thank you for being worth serving.